A middle school maths teacher asked her students to identify a rectangle. Many of them couldn't. Not because they weren't paying attention, they genuinely didn't know what a rectangle was. When I started digging into this, I found it's not isolated. Teachers everywhere are posting videos saying the same thing. My students can't read, they can't focus for more than 30 seconds. Something has fundamentally changed. I've been seeing these videos for years. At first I didn't think much of it, teachers venting. But then I heard it in my own life. A friend's father, who's a university lecturer, said students are now a lot worse than the generations before. My relative, who teaches elementary school, said some of them are impossible to teach. Then I started looking into it. Test scores, behavioural reports, long-term studies, pattern emerged. This is a measurable cognitive collapse happening across entire age groups. And if you think this doesn't affect you because you don't have kids, keep watching, because what's happening in classrooms right now is going to reshape the next 50 years of society, your job, your retirement, your country. Let me show you what I found. And throughout the video, if you have any anecdotal cases which you can share, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd love to know what people have experienced. Teachers are leaving in record numbers, not because they're burnt out in the traditional way. They're leaving because they can no longer do the job they were trained to do. One middle school teacher told me, I can barely get my students to watch a 5-minute YouTube clip before they start fidgeting or pulling out their phones. If the information isn't delivered in 20 to 30 seconds, 1 minute tops, they lose all attention. Think about that for a second. I remember being excited when a teacher wheeled in the TV cart. Didn't matter, it was a grainy VHS quality. We watched, we paid attention. I was excited. Now kids have been fed endless streams of hyper-stimulating content since they could hold a tablet. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, literal brain rot. They even call it that themselves. Their baseline for engaging is completely warped. I've watched, and I'm sure you would have seen it also, kids today, the way they use iPads and phones. I'm talking about little kids, kindergarten age. If you haven't, you'll be shocked when you do. It's almost like it's all they know. Then it gets worse, they can't read. Let's talk about the rectangle story again. Kids can't identify basic shapes by middle school. What else can't they do? A high school teacher with 15 years of experience quit because her students couldn't read. Not that they were rusty or below level. They couldn't understand text written for children. She'd assign a short story, basic comprehension questions. Students stared at the page like it was written in another language. Teachers are comparing notes online. The same observation comes up everywhere. This is an interesting one. Curiosity has evaporated. Students used to ask why. Now they ask for answers without explanation, or they disengage entirely if the task doesn't feel immediately rewarding. I get it, honestly. Even as an adult, I catch myself doing the same thing. My attention switches and suddenly my phone is in my hand. Sorry. Watching some random video I didn't even choose to click on. It's designed that way. Content that isn't optimized for speed, novelty, and emotional spikes can't compete with what we carry in our pockets. So now let's look at the numbers. The National Assessment of Educational Progress released their 2024 data. This is basically America's report card. The results catastrophic. Reading scores dropped 5 points from 2019. Around 40% of 4th graders are now reading below basic. What does below basic mean? A 9-year-old can look at the words, the dog ran to the park, and not understand what happened in that sentence. They can see the words, but their brain doesn't process meaning. 4 out of 10 kids. And these trends started before COVID. The pandemic just accelerated what was already happening. Here's the attention crisis in numbers. UC Irvine found the average attention span dropped to 47 seconds. Not minutes, seconds. And that's for adults. Kids are worse. A teacher barely finishes explaining a concept before half the class mentally checks out. They don't choose to stop paying attention. Their brains literally can't hold focus longer than that. Kids get 192 phone notifications per day. That's 1 every 5 minutes. Their brain never gets a break. The average 12 to 13-year-old spends 7.7 hours a day on screens, more than a full-time job, more than they sleep. Their brains are being rewired in real time. 49% of students rate student behaviour as fair or poor. Half of all teachers are dealing with regular verbal aggression, complete lack of discipline, and students who fundamentally don't care about learning. I know teachers who say discipline is nearly impossible now. The old threat of "I'm calling your parents" doesn't work anymore because many parents employ hyper-permissive parenting styles themselves, soft parenting. Almost 50% of teachers say anxiety and depression are major problems in their classrooms. Kids show up emotionally dysregulated, unable to handle basic stress, falling apart when things get hard. And then there's AI. At least a third of written assignments are now clearly generated by AI. Students don't even try to hide it. They copy and paste from ChatGPT and turn it in. One teacher told me the problem isn't using AI to assist, it's that they never develop the skills themselves. No comprehension, no critical thinking, because they've never practiced. In fairness, if AI was around my time in school, everything would have been AI'd. I don't think I would have done one piece of homework without AI. I get it. So now we have a generation that can't read, can't focus, can't behave, and doesn't bother trying because AI does it for them. These are the statistics coming out of classrooms now. Imagine the implications 10 years from now. Then the question is, how did we get here? Three things converged at exactly the wrong time. We need to talk about all of them, especially the one nobody wants to say out loud. And if I'm not careful, will ban me from YouTube. Let's start with the obvious, the pandemic. Remote learning was a disaster. We all know Zoom school didn't work, but the real damage wasn't the months stuck at home. The real damage was developmental. Think about kids who were in kindergarten and the first grade during COVID. Those are the critical years when you learn how to be a student, how to sit still, how to follow instructions, how to exist in a structured environment with other kids. They missed all that. Those kids are in 4th and 5th grade now, and the teachers have a word for them: feral. I know that sounds harsh, but teachers literally use that word. These kids never learned the foundational skills of functioning in a classroom. They never developed the social emotional regulation you're supposed to get in those early years. Now they're in upper elementary and middle school, and teachers are trying to teach multiplication and reading comprehension to kids who don't even know how to raise their hand or wait their turn. COVID didn't create this problem, it just accelerated it. These trends were already happening. The pandemic just ripped off the band-aid and showed us what we've been ignoring for years. Smartphones are the most addictive technology ever created. Social media companies literally hire teams of psychologists and neuroscientists to make their apps as addictive as possible. Every notification triggers a dopamine hit. I got annoyed yesterday because I got earphones, and the earphone app is sending me notifications. Anyways, I'll get back to it. Every notification triggers a dopamine hit. Every scroll promises something new. The algorithms are mathematically optimized to keep you hooked. This is a documented fact. Internal meta documents, whistleblower testimony. They know that they're doing this to kids' brains. They have the research. They do it anyways. Because engagement equals money. The kids developing brains are the most vulnerable, most profitable users, and we handed these devices to kids whose brains are still developing. Kids with zero impulse control, kids who can't possibly understand what's happening to them. So here's what happened during COVID. Screen time for 12 and 13-year-olds more than doubled to 7.7 hours daily. Think about what's happening neurologically. TikTok videos are 15 to 60 seconds. Instagram Reels, same thing. YouTube Shorts, same again. Their brains get trained to expect constant novelty, instant gratification, zero delay. The moment it stops, on to the next one. Then we ask them to sit and read a textbook for 20 minutes. Their brain literally can't do it. It's like raising a kid on candy and energy drinks their entire life, then being shocked they won't eat vegetables. Jonathan Haidt documented this in The Anxious Generation. Kids who heavily use social media are twice as likely to develop ADHD-like symptoms, twice. And then what? We drug them? Now we get to the part that'll make some people Defensive tablet parenting has become normalized and it's destroying kids' development. We've all seen the videos. Kids bored, give them an iPad. Kids upset, put them on YouTube. Kid won't sit still at dinner, hand them a phone. Or you come at me in the comments. I'm not blaming individual parents. Most are doing their absolute best. They're working multiple jobs, they're exhausted, they're dealing with way more economic stress than previous generations had to handle. The system is broken. But here's the result. Kids aren't learning emotional regulation. They aren't learning to sit with boredom. They aren't learning to work through frustration. Everything is instant. When it's not, they fall apart. Child development experts have been warning about this for years. Kids need to learn self-soothing. They need boredom so their brains learn to create their own environment. They need frustration so they develop resilience. Instead, we outsource all that to devices. They do the opposite. They train kids to expect constant stimulation and immediate gratification. Think about what this looks like in practice. 7-year-old throws a tantrum at a restaurant. Instead of teaching them to sit still and wait, mom hands them an iPad. Tantrum stops instantly. Problem solved, right? Wrong. That kid just learned, when I'm uncomfortable, I don't have to deal with it. I get instant relief. Fast forward to the age 14. Teacher assigns a difficult essay. Frustrating, it's hard. Kid brain goes, this is uncomfortable. Where's my relief? But there's no iPad to make the essay go away. So they shut down. They give up. We've raised a generation that never had to be uncomfortable for extended periods. Now we're shocked they can't handle discomfort, even discomfortable truths. There's one more piece to this puzzle, and it's the piece that I have to be most careful to talk about. Not all kids learn at the same pace. That's not controversial. It is, but it's not. Any teacher will tell you that. Some kids process abstract concepts quickly, follow multi-step instructions easily. They handle frustration without falling apart. Others need more time, more repetition, more support. Not because they're lazy, because the task is genuinely harder for them. This is a biological reality. Research on cognitive ability shows that there's a strong genetic component to learning capacity. Estimates range from 50 to 80% heritable. Different kids have different starting points. The best way, if you can't imagine it, the best way to imagine it is your workplace. Not everyone you work with will be the same. There'll be some people who just get stuff quickly. You only have to explain it to them once, they have it. Then there'll be others that no matter how much you have to explain it, they'll always reach that point at a slower pace. And there's a genetic component to that. Our education system is designed around the assumption that every child has the same cognitive baseline. When the assumption fails and is failing more than ever, the whole thing breaks down. Teachers are standing in front of classrooms where significant portions of students aren't equipped for the curriculum being taught through no fault of their own. Teachers feel like failures, kids feel stupid, but then the system grinds on anyway. We pretend everything's fine and quietly lower standards. COVID damaged early development. Tech companies addicted kids to dopamine hits. Stressed parents leaned on devices. Kids lost the ability to self-regulate. Schools reopened to students who couldn't function. Teachers burnt out. Standards dropped. Kids fell further behind, and it's a vicious cycle. And right now, we're in the thick of it. Kids in classrooms today are the product of these converging disasters, but it gets worse because these aren't just classroom problems. Even if you don't have kids, even if you never plan to, even if you're thinking, not my problem, this affects everyone. These kids enter the workforce in 10 to 15 years. Some already are. Imagine you're a hiring manager in 2035. Now, it's another story whether AI is going to take over all that work, but they can't focus long enough. You give them a problem requiring critical thinking, ChatGPT. You assign a project with a 6-week deadline, they quit after 2 weeks because it got hard. Now scale that across the entire economy. Who's going to be your doctor, your engineer, the person flying your plane? Half of school seniors aren't prepared for entry-level work or skilled trades. Half. That's half of every graduating class for the next decade, fundamentally unprepared for the economy they're entering. Meanwhile, China's producing millions of highly educated engineers and scientists. Kids who can't focus, kids who delay gratification, kids raised with actual discipline and structure. Here's something everyone should care about regardless of politics. Democracy requires an educated population. You can make the argument whether democracy is the right form of government, but it's what we have right now. People who can read critically, evaluate sources, think through complex problems, distinguish good information from misinformation. What happens when an entire generation can't do any of that? They become easy to manipulate, easy to radicalize, easy to feed whatever narrative keeps them clicking. Population that can't think critically cannot self-govern. Doesn't matter what your politics are. This should concern you. Because if people can't evaluate information, can't think through consequences, can't resist immediate emotional reactions, democracy doesn't work. You end up with a population that votes based on whatever video went viral that week. That's mob rule with smartphones. And on a purely human level, these kids are suffering. The mental health crisis among young people is unprecedented. Anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide attempts at rates we've never seen. I'm sure all of you know someone from your town, a young person who has committed suicide. High schoolers report feeling less motivated to attend school or complete assignments. They're falling behind, they're giving up, they're checking out before life even starts. And it's not their fault. They were handed this system, given these devices, raised in this environment no other generation before them had to face. They're guinea pigs in a massive, uncontrolled experiment we're running on an entire generation. Here's some solutions, because you should think of this as a battle against the most addictive technology ever created and a system designed around profit. We need to treat this like the public health crisis it is. Places like China do, where they ban phone usage after certain times. TikTok shows them educational videos. So here's what actually works, and we have proof. Some schools are banning phones entirely. Bell-to-bell policies where devices get locked up at the start of the day. And it's working. Virginia, Ohio and South Carolina implemented statewide policies restricting cell phones during school hours. The early results are extremely promising. Teachers report students dramatically more engaged. Behavioral problems drop significantly. Kids actually talk to each other at lunch. Test scores improve, bullying and cyberbullying decrease. The phone-free schools movement documented that when phones are properly removed, not just put away, but actually secured, students show improved focus, better mental health, and stronger social connections. One teacher in Harlem wrote about removing phones from her classroom. She said the results were spectacular. Students complained for about 2 weeks, then they adapted. Everything got better. Jonathan Haidt created an entire research document cataloguing studies on phone-free schools. The evidence is overwhelming. Removing phones improves every measurable outcome. But this only works if it's comprehensive, bell to bell, no exceptions. No, you can't use it at lunch. Yeah, but what about emergencies? Same thing that worked for every generation before 2010. Call the school office. It worked fine. Your kid doesn't need to be reachable by text every second of the day. That's anxiety, not safety. For parents watching this, set boundaries, proper ones. Enforce them even when your kid hates you. No screens before the age 2. The American Academy of Pediatrics has been saying this for years. Screens before 2 interferes with crucial brain development. Don't do it. After age 2, strictly limit screen time. Not I'll try it, actually limit it. Set rules, use parental controls, enforce them. Be the parent. No phones in bedrooms at night, non-negotiable. Kids need sleep. They won't sleep properly with unlimited phone access. Make them read. Start with 10 minutes daily and build up. Doesn't matter if they complain, which they will. Doesn't matter if the book is boring. Their brain needs to relearn sustained attention. Will your kid complain? Absolutely. Will they say you're the worst parent ever? Most likely, probably, but the alternative is watching their brain development suffer permanent damage. So yeah, be the bad guy. For young people watching this, if you're a teenager or young adult, recognizing yourself in this video, there's always good news. Your brain is still plastic. You can fix this. Brain plasticity peaks before age 25. Delete TikTok, delete Instagram, delete Snapchat, or at least limit them as best you can. Your brain cannot resist infinite scroll. The algorithms are designed by people way smarter than you and I to keep you hooked. The only way to break addiction is to remove access. Start reading 30 minutes every day. It could be late in the day, morning time, whenever you have the chance. Physical books, long form content that requires sustained attention. Your brain will hate it at first. I started a book not so long ago. It's very difficult when you've been looking at your phone for so long. It takes a while to get into. But once you get into it, you find yourself, it does get easier. And your brain will beg you to check your phone. Don't do it. Sit with the discomfort. Power through. That uncomfortable boredom you feel, that's your brain relearning how to function normally. Push through it. When you feel the urge to check your phone, and you will, resist it. Every time you resist, you're building your attention span. It'll suck for the first few weeks, but after a month or two, you'll notice something. You can actually think again. You can focus, you can read, you can learn. That's worth more than any TikTok video. Because you'll notice, and I notice this too, when I'm looking at my phone or scrolling, what happens is you're not thinking during that time. Someone's doing the thinking for you, or there's nothing going through. When you're not using your phone, you spend time in your own head. Allows you to develop your own thoughts, allows you to understand yourself. So yeah, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Are you seeing this in your life? I know I did. Are you a teacher dealing with this daily? Are you a parent struggling to set boundaries? Are you a young person trying to break free? Make sure to like, share and subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to be making more content like this going forward. Maybe not as long. This one went on for a while. But some of the stuff is crazy when you look at it. But anyways, we can have a part 2 some other time. Thanks for watching. Now go do something about it.